Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we are continuing lessons on emphasis, but today we are going to talk about texture. So texture is the feel of an object, or the way an object looks like it feels. Things with actual texture, like this furry notebook, you can actually feel that it's furry or that this part is rough. But today we're going to create something that has what's called implied texture. An implied texture is in a drawing where you make the texture by making a pattern. So we're going to make creatures, and think of things that creatures would have. So creatures could have horns. Creatures could have wings. Creatures could have less or extra features, like an extra eyeball, or extra or pointed changed ears, things like that. And they could have, but creatures also have textures. So we're going to make a creature that has two textures, that has the texture of fur and the texture of scales. So you can create your creature any way you like, but you want to start with the basic shape of your creature. So a shape for the head, a shape for the body, the arms, and the legs. And you can add extra arms or legs as you go. It's up to you. So I'm going to start with just the shape of a head. So I'm going to make an oval. I'm going to make the body a little bit bigger, oval. And then I'm just going to make the legs kind of come down like this. And I'm waiting to do the hands because I want it to be the hands and feet, because I want them to be kind of more creature-like. So once you create your creature, you add details. So I'm going to have my creature is going to have kind of webbed or with little what are they called? Little fang type things, little pointy parts. So here's my creature. And now I'm going to add at least one area of, well, let's add some other things. Let's add the horns. I'm going to give them a couple horns. Maybe I'll give them some wings. I'll just have the wings kind of come back like this. And let's see, this wing comes out there. So there's his two wings. And his or her, I guess it could be a her. You can have a nose or no nose. I'm going to have a nose like this. You can make your creature happy or mean. I'm going to make mine a little mean, so I'm going to give him a V right there, and his eyeballs are just going to be circles. And then I'm going to have my creature's mouth open and put a zigzag in between. So here's my basic creature. I'm going to add one big black horn right in the middle. And now I'm going to give him the textures. So once I've got my creature going, for the textures, let's see, I'm going to do this part with scales. So to do scales, you do bumps, and you just repeat those bumps. Bumps, bump, bump, and this is a pattern that creates the illusion of texture, like scales would be on a dragon or a fish. I'm also going to do the legs that way too. So I'll just have it go all the way down, and we'll make the foot just regular, so almost looks like he's wearing pants or something. So you can do yours like mine, or you can make it a little bit different. Now I'm going to give him the texture of fur on his body. So I'm going to just make a bunch of lines that kind of overlap and go all the way to fill this space, and I'm just repeating these lines going out, and it creates a fur-like texture. And you can do this with crayon, you can do this with marker. I like to draw with a marker and then color with colored pencils or crayons. I'll also add like a little pattern of dots on his wings just to make it kind of silly. Let's make these two things black too. And I can even add little black nails if I want. Just kind of make it a little bit more scary. Rawr. And now I'm going to add the color. I can add a little bit more texture to them if I want. I could put maybe some scales on his face. Just put a little bit of scales on his face, like that. Just some bumps kind of around the edge to show that he has scales on his face too. But I don't really want to cover up all the details. So now I figure out what I want for my color. So for the brown, I'm going to go ahead and color this middle part tan first, and then I'm going to cover brown over top of it. So when you think about what color you want your fur to be, your fur could be red or a different color. Most fur traditionally is brown or tan, but like I said, you can make it a little bit different. If you want to have blue fur or red fur. I like taking tan, going over it with some brown, and then adding even a little tiny bit of orange in it. And I'm making the edge kind of like we did yesterday with our value. I make the edge a little bit darker just to show those shadows, give it a little bit of value. And now just take a little bit of orange on top, and that should finish that part. And then I'm just going to color everything else in. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this, and then I will let you guys finish yours off. So you want to make sure everything on your monster is nice and colored in. So I'm coloring the scales right now. The scales could be green, they could also be gray if you have a gray crayon. Some things are gray, have gray scales. So here we go, here's my monster. And let's make his hands. So here's just the basic monster. You can create one that has the same thing as me, or you can kind of change it up a little bit. I'd like to see you kind of try to use your own imagination, and even if you kind of copy what I did, try to change one thing to make it your own, to make it just a little bit different from mine. Okay, so here is my monster. It has some crazy little pink wings. He's all scary, but he's got pink wings. And remember, we're talking about texture, so the way things feel. So this is implied texture, where you make a pattern like scales or fur by repeating a pattern. Alright, have fun making your monsters, and I will see you next time.